You're listening to the Relational Astrology Podcast, where we use the powerful tool of astrology to transform relationships in every area of your life: romantic, personal, professional, and beyond. This isn't your typical astrology podcast, and you don't need to be an astro expert to join in. Get ready for real-life examples, practical tips, and tools you can start using right away to strengthen your connections. Ready to improve the relationships in your life? Grab your birth chart and let's dive in. What is relational astrology? Can you really use astrology to have better relationships? Can your birth chart tell you when you're going to meet the love of your life? Are you karmically connected to your child? These are just some of the questions that I get from my clients in readings, on social media, or on the street when I meet strangers and they find out I'm an astrologer. I get so many questions specifically around astrology and relationships, and I knew I had to create the Relational Astrology Podcast. So hi, welcome in. I'm Mandi Rose. I will be your guide and your host as we navigate each of these episodes. My mission is ultimately to help you improve all the relationships in your life and not just the romantic ones. You are going to have a completely different perspective on relationships as we journey through each and every episode. We are going to learn how to blend our energy with the energy of the person we're trying to relate to. We're going to dive into so many different relationship dynamics, from siblings, your friends, your romantic partner, and yes, even that annoying coworker. We're going to relate to them so much better in each of these episodes. Now, if you are new to astrology or you're a seasoned astrology lover, don't worry, you're in the right place. I believe you're going to fall in love with my perspective, and I'm going to be giving you tangible, realistic tips that you can use by the end of each episode to go apply immediately into your life and into your connections. Now, the most important relationship we have is the relationship with ourselves. So in our episodes, you're also going to learn who you are, your unique energetic blueprint, your birth chart, and how you're meant to authentically show up in your life so that the relationships you have see you for who you are. Now, I am a Western tropical astrologer. That may or may not mean something to you. But regardless, I'm excited to build a relationship with you, to welcome you into my Astro family, to kick off this first episode, the first official episode on this journey. We are launching it on 11/11, which is my favorite day of the entire year. I love the portal of 11/11. It's manifestation. It's making a wish. It's setting new intentions. It's beginning a new journey. So thank you for going on this journey with me. Traditionally, I host a huge party in my home every year on 11/11. Last year, I actually hosted a retreat, which was so magical. But this year, I wanted to go even bigger. So I decided to launch this podcast and hang out with you from all around the world. So we're going to be partying it up podcast style on 11/11 of 2024. So here we are. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being curious about learning about relational astrology. And let's go ahead and dive in to our first official episode. So the interesting thing about relationships is that they are one of the most important things to us as souls here on our journey. We value them, we crave them, we prioritize them, but yet they tend to be the most challenging and the most frustrating thing in our lives. Relationships end up being the thing that ends up teaching us lessons, helping us evolve and grow as a soul, and ultimately helps us feel the highest vibration that exists, which is love. And through my experience and in my practice, I believe that understanding your birth chart and the birth charts of the people around you, whether it's your lover, again, your best friend, your sibling, doesn't matter who it is, can be a complete game changer. And so with that whole perspective, this lens of relational astrology was born. And so today's episode, my goal here is to ultimately help you better understand this concept of relational astrology, how it can help you in your life, in your day-to-day. I'm going to reveal some of the upcoming episodes, what you can expect on this podcast. And by the way, I have 87 episode ideas already written down and multiple of those already recorded. So lots of juiciness, lots of goodness coming ahead. And ultimately, I want to start building our relationship together. So I'm going to introduce myself, let you get to know me. And I look forward to getting to know you, whether that's more intimately in a one-on-one reading, or you join us over on Telegram, which is our Astro Weather Report, where we hang out together. Or if it's just on social media and you slide in my DMs or say hi on one of my posts. So let's start out with, what is relational astrology? I've already previewed it. I've already highlighted it. But a lot of times people hear the concept and it seems so vague. It seems so intangible. So let's make it super specific. Relational astrology, you may not have heard it before because it's my unique perspective, my unique lens. When I started actually offering astrology services, I realized, again, that relationships were so important to people, and it's the question I always get. But usually it's just around romantic relationships. And I knew that not only are romantic relationships important to us, but all relationships matter to us. It is the thing that determines our peace, our joy, our ability to move through life with ease and flow when we can relate to the people around us better. And ultimately, I recognize that our birth charts are so unique. Each one of us has a unique profile, where the planets are, where the zodiac signs are, the aspects, the different things that make us who we are. Your birth chart is ultimately like your thumbprint. It won't look like anybody else's. And even if you have a twin, they were born moments after you, you can still have a different birth chart. And so ultimately, I realized that I have a unique energy based on my birth chart, and the person next to me has a unique energy, their birth chart. And our goal in relationships to relate to one another is to blend and harmonize these energies together. So when we do that, we are ultimately taking our strengths, our traits, our weaknesses, our lessons, all the things that our birth chart contains, and we are ultimately understanding that within ourselves, and then we're understanding that in another person. Now, depending how deep your relationship goes with that person, you're not going to need to know everything about their birth chart. And through our episodes, you're going to discover that sometimes just knowing, for example, their rising sign or their moon sign or their north node might be enough to relate to them in that moment. And ultimately, my mission is to help everyone understand that knowing their own birth chart matters. It doesn't just matter for yourself. It matters because it gives you the language and the understanding to explain to someone else who you are. And if they understand astrology and they understand their birth chart, they can show up for you. They can understand you in a whole different way. So when someone comes to me and they're asking me about relationships, oftentimes they've tried many other relationship tools. They've followed the Gottmans and they've done the love language quiz, or they've gone to therapy, or they read self-help and personal development books. They've had conversations with their partner. They've done so many other things, but they've never tried relational astrology. They've never looked at their birth chart. I totally believe that this is an underutilized tool, undervalued tool, and that people don't even know exists. So not you, you're here, you know, you're about to go on this journey, you're about to understand, and I'm so excited because this has been here the whole time. It's just us unpacking it and learning it bit by bit. So the difference between traditional astrology, if you're someone who's already been in astrology for a while, is that traditional astrology really looks at day-to-day transits, the new moons, the full moons, the retrogrades. It looks at different aspects. I believe that relational astrology is so much more important because ultimately we're looking in at the energy of who we are, and we're appreciating that about ourselves so we can show up as we're meant to be, as our soul signed up to be. And the person across from us also has their unique energy, and that's what we're focusing on. And yes, of course, the new moons, the full moons, the retrogrades, all the things going on around us are going to impact our relationships. But we got to zoom back into our birth chart. So I would love to just take a second right here, right now. If you are new to astrology, or even again, if you're a seasoned astrologer lover, to understand our birth chart from the perspective of relational astrology. Your birth chart is a screenshot of the sky at the moment of your birth. Okay. And so I believe in astrology that we are souls and we choose to come here to Earth School, and we have to pick a vehicle, a vessel, a physical form, our body, to embody, literally to embody and drive around Earth School to get to our North Node, to our mission. And in order to get to our North Node, which is a point in your birth chart, your personal North Star, and we're going to have a whole episode on that, you have to take an energetic blueprint, an energetic DNA to get to that North Node in the vehicle you're driving around Earth School in. So when we calculate your birth chart, we're looking at the birth date, place, and time. Because when your soul comes into the physical form and takes its first breath, you are inhaling the energy of the cosmos with your first breath. It is the relationship of you to each planet, where the sun was in relationship to you, where Mars was in relationship to you, where the constellation of Scorpio was in relationship to you. So when you're looking at your birth chart, in the center of that map, in the center of that circle is you, baby you, the minute of your first breath. And that inhalation becomes your energetic blueprint, your birth chart, how you're meant to show up in your authentic version, how you love, how you attract, how you fight for things, how you think, what you dream about, what you aspire to do, your wounds, the lessons, all the things is in that birth chart. And so when you have that chart, you can then understand yourself. And when you see someone else's chart, you can understand who they are. So that's the principle of relational astrology. Now, the last thing I kind of want to talk about with this entire topic is that as we move on from that first breath, I want you to think of it as you entered into a timeline. Okay. You came here to Earth School, and in that exact moment, we took a screenshot of the sky. But the minute after your first breath, all the planets kept moving, right? They're already on a trajectory. And thanks to astronomy, we know where those planets are going to be at any point in your life. 5 years old, 50 years old, 32 years old. We know where those planets are going to be, again, in relationship to you here on Earth, where the sun is in the sky at any point in time in relationship to you here on Earth. And so when we look at your birth chart and the cycles of your life and the ages and stages of your life, we're able to see what journey you're meant to be on. And sometimes we get off track, but ultimately my goal as an astrologer, specifically relational astrologer, is to help you better relate to your journey, relate to your chart, relate to your mission, and ultimately, therefore, relate better to other people as either they are supporting your mission or teaching you lessons in your journey or blending your energy with them to form a connection and relationship. So there's lots of aspects, lots of layers to astrology. Again, I'm going to try to keep it so simple, so relatable, make it very practical and tangible for you. So if you're here because you're interested in relationships and not necessarily astrology, I think you are going to have your mind blown in some of these episodes. So stick with me. So that leads me into sharing what can you expect from this podcast? What are we going to deep dive into in our episodes? So first and foremost, many people feel like they're misunderstood by someone in their life. They speak a certain way and they're told, nope, you're not supposed to be that way. Or they're told by society that they shouldn't be so bold or so loud or so quiet or so whatever. Ultimately, our episodes are going to be designed first and foremost for you to learn about yourself and not who the world tells you to be. So we're going to have episodes that are focused on learning about yourself. Of course, we're going to have lots of episodes on all the different types of relationship dynamics. So we are going to have episodes specifically focused on your siblings, on your friends, if you're a boss, helping you have better relationships with your business partner, or maybe your employees, or maybe even your clients. We're going to have relationship episodes for romantic partners. So whether you're dating, you're married, you're getting divorced, We're going to have relationship episodes that focus on dynamics between people in certain professions like teachers, counselors, service providers. There are so many different types of relationship dynamics, and we're going to cover all of them episode by episode. We're also going to have a lot of foundational astrology episodes. And these are going to be episodes that are going to help you have a better relationship to the cosmos. Like, for example, understanding the planets. I consider each planet life coaches to us. And these life coaches, these planets, are here to teach us lessons. And we have to have a relationship with them. You're also going to have a better understanding of the houses, the aspects, astro weather events, and so much more. So again, if you're still new to astrology, we're going to have episodes that are going to help you understand the foundational aspects of relational astrology. We're also going to have episodes that focus in on the cosmic weather. Now, we're not going to do every new moon and full moon and what's in the stars for the week. I do that separately over on my YouTube channel and in the Astro Weather Report. Every single day, I send a Astro Weather memo to everyone's phone so they understand the weather of the day ahead and how to navigate it. So we're not going to do that here. But if there is a cosmic weather event, for example, an eclipse or a full moon in Libra, or something is super specific to our relationships that is going to impact our relationships, I'm going to cover it here. I'm not going to leave you hanging because we need to be understanding what's going on around us and how that could potentially affect the people around us. So I got you covered on that one. And then, of course, we're going to have guest episodes where we're going to welcome in some amazing guests. And I have a few lined up already. But if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them. Play matchmaker and hop over to my DMs. And we're going to have some super fun topic episodes. Like, for example, what is the best day to pick for your wedding day when it comes to the astrology, or episodes specifically on your anniversary and your solar return chart every single year in your relationship, and so many more. Again, I have almost 100 different episode topic ideas lined up. So I hope you're excited for all of that. And lastly, as we wrap up today's episode, I wanted to build that relationship with you, allow you to get to know me a little bit better as the relational astrologer. So let's deep dive a little bit more. Let me reveal myself to you and let me know over on any of the socials if we have anything in common. So as we start deep diving into who I am, I'm going to take a sip of my tea. Today, I am drinking the Libra tea. Now, if you don't know, I created an astrology tea collection with a local herbalist, and each of the teas helps you energetically tap in to that zodiac energy. And Libra is the zodiac energy of relationships, of partnerships. It is where my Venus is in my birth chart. So I'm absolutely obsessed with the Libra tea. So if you have tea that you love, go ahead and grab it, take a sip of it as I tell you the story of me. So to start out with, I am a Virgo sun, Cancer moon, Scorpio rising. Like I mentioned, I'm a Venus Libra. And more importantly, I'm a South node in Libra. Now that may mean absolutely nothing to you, but you're going to learn more about that in an upcoming episode. But for now, what you need to know is that, again, Libra is the energy of relationships, and your South node is your past default setting, your natural talents, your natural skills, your natural abilities. And so by default, I am curious and interested about relationships. I'm obsessed with relationships. I was one of those girls that always wanted to date, always had a boyfriend, always wanted to be in connection with other people. And yes, it is an energy of people pleasing. So ever since I was a little girl, I was obsessed with relationships. And then I became obsessed with astrology. I love to understand people by understanding their zodiac signs. I got that birthday horoscope book. I'm sure you know what it is, where each day it talks about like the gemstone, the flower, like, you know, who you are based on your birthday. I loved looking at the stars, the sun, the moon. I'm like so many of you, and you probably looked at each newspaper for your horoscopes, just trying to better understand yourself as you were growing up. When I turned 17, I got the sextrology books. I wanted to learn more about chemistry and how people show up in their energy in relationships, specifically based on their zodiac signs. Like, have always been obsessed with astrology. And then when I went to college, I studied psychology, which is not far off from astrology. And as I was getting my bachelor's, I was obsessed with Carl Jung and Freud, both psychologists that also use astrology and talked openly about astrology. I even went to their childhood homes. My family lives in Germany. So I grew up in Germany and in the United States, so very bicontinental, and have both citizenships and speak German. It was my first language. And so that is where Freud and Jung, came from. So I was super obsessed. Then I graduated, and again, being obsessed with relationships, I was dating somebody and ended up moving to Florida and got away from a lot of my spiritual practices and astrology and in my 20s. And I just want to have fun and live my life. But again, still always obsessed with relationships, personal development, and again, building a lot of friends and building a lot of networks. I was one of those people just like always surrounded by a group of people. And I was a bartender. So again, had to relate to people 24/7. I could chameleon and adapt to any person that sat down at the bar in front of me. So anyways, let's fast forward to my 30s. I had gotten married, again, looking for a relationship, found the relationship, and now I'm married. And this was in 2019. I got extremely sick. And when I say extremely sick, I mean like bedridden, couldn't walk, couldn't read, couldn't write, couldn't go to work. And my entire life was falling apart around me. And it was my dark night of the soul moment. And like so many people, your dark night of the soul moment in your astrology happens around your Saturn return. So yes, it was my Saturn return. I should have known. I should have practiced my own advice, which is don't get married before your Saturn return because you will become an entirely different person. And so while I was doing new and full moon rituals, while I was learning more about astrology, while I was talking about astrology, again, I was going through this health crisis. After I had dove deeper into astrology and started understanding what was going on during this dark night of the soul, my husband ended up leaving me. And I was sick. I wasn't working. So I didn't have my social circle. I didn't have my coworkers. I now don't have my relationship partner. I had lost one of my parents over it because they decided to stay friends with my ex. You can imagine which parent that was. And then I had to make sense of this chaos. I had to say, what is going on around me? And I dove into astrology. I started taking notes every single day of what was going on in the cosmic weather, looking at my birth chart, looking at my soon-to-be ex-husband's birth chart, and trying to make sense of it all. And through that, I learned so much more, again, about myself and who I was meant to be and how I was watering myself down and not showing up in my authentic, way because of my birth chart and the situation I was in and because I was craving relationships so bad that I was willing to veer off my path, off my birth chart to be in that relationship. And also, I realized what my North Node was and that I needed to focus on Aries, not Libra, the South Node, Aries, being independent, putting myself first, prioritizing my needs and my wants. And that gave me so much of my power back by using the tool of astrology to make sense of my chaos, to build that relationship with myself, to understand the relationships around me, and to move forward in my life. And so I moved forward in my life and I ended up meeting my next partner, my current partner. We've been together almost 6 years now. And this time I entered into that relationship with the knowledge of astrology and how to actually apply it. And fun fact, on our first date, I actually asked him what his big three was, his sun, moon, and rising, and he actually knew it. So that was green flag number one, how I knew he was the partner for me. And because we had this language of astrology, me a lot more than him, I taught him so much. But as he was learning it for me, we had this extra language to understand who we were. For example, when we were dating, he would call me sometimes and want to talk all the time. And then sometimes I would call him and he'd totally ghost me. I couldn't figure out why until I realized it was his moon in Gemini and his emotions were dependent upon how he was feeling that day and how connected we were in communication. So if I didn't text him or forgot to text him, he emotionally was triggered because Gemini moons love communication, and then he wouldn't want to talk to me. But on days where we were very communicative and texting all the time, he would want to continue talking to me for hours and hours and hours till the middle of the night. So I was able to understand his habits and behaviors and traits and tendencies through his birth chart. What a blessing, because then I was also able to determine who I am, because now I have a deep understanding of my chart, and if this is the person for me. And we're going to have a whole episode on compatibility and how to know if someone is for you and how compatibility actually works when it comes to relational astrology. So fast forward, we're now moving into 2020. crazy time for everyone. Like most astrologers, I knew the world was going to change for all of us, just like it's about to in 2025. And as this concept of relational astrology was coming about, I had started doing readings for people because they saw me go through this transformation. They saw me go through my dark night of the soul and come out on the other side a completely different person. And they wanted to know about themselves and their own birth chart and how to navigate the chaos in their life. And so there was this day, I did a reading for a friend, and we were actually in an Uber traveling from one bar to another, and it was a long Uber ride. She asked me if I could read her chart. So I'm on the spot and I pull up her chart and I start telling her what I see. And no joke, 30 minutes later, when we arrived at our destination, she was like in tears, so like flabbergasted that I knew all this stuff and really spoke to her soul. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know what I just said. I literally felt like I blacked out of body, have no idea what I said, couldn't remember. And I realized in that moment that I had channeled all this energy and all this information that not only I could see from my earth school self in the chart, but more than that, it was cosmic guidance. It was my channeled gift, and it had opened up because I was on my path. I had clicked back into my natal energy that I was born with, that my soul chose, that I inhaled with my first breath. I had clicked back in, and my channeled gift had opened up. And then I realized over time that this channeled gift was only going to open up when I was doing astrology readings, that it's karmic, that it's past life, that I've done this and I understand the language of the stars in a way that cannot be taught in an astrology course. And so then, it's 2020, I'm not working, and I think, oh my God, I have to do something with this. I have to offer this to the world. And so again, I started offering more services, and I started creating more new and full moon ceremonies and gathering people together and teaching them about astrology. It's when I created my YouTube channel. I've been going on this YouTube journey since 2020. And then that first year in 2021, I created my first official astrology journal. This journal is literally my soul on paper. The first year I took that notebook that I mentioned during my dark night of the soul, through my divorce, through my entire life falling apart, all the notes that I took, the rituals I was doing for each new and full moon, the journal prompts that I was writing about, what I was learning about each of the transits and the astro weather events and how it applied to my life. And my channeled gifts were now open, and I channeled the 2021 astrology retrograde journal. And for those of you in the Astro family that are watching this podcast today and have been on the journey with me since day one and purchased my first edition, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Can you believe how far we've come together? And now we are on the 5th edition, 2025, the Astrology Alchemy Journal. It's been rebranded because the first few editions with the retrogrades, it was a retrograde focus where retrogrades are lesson learning periods and to make sense of the chaos during a retrograde. But now we've expanded to almost 100 pages, almost 200 journal prompts. It includes sun seasons, new and full moons, transits. There are pages for each month ahead. There's journal entry pages and so much more. Again, a total labor of love for me. And so I've just been on this journey now of helping people specifically improve the relationships in their life. I do the one-on-one readings. I do compatibility readings. I do date nights. I speak at retreats. I do my podcast now and my YouTube channels. And I'm just on this mission, on this movement to change the world from this relational astrology perspective. Now, after I started getting these channeled messages and I started doing more readings, I started realizing, like I mentioned at the intro, is that relationships were the primary concern, that people really wanted to get along better with the people in their life because it was important to them. They just didn't know how. So for example, I do a lot of compatibility readings for couples. And one of my favorite stories so far when it comes to couples is I had this couple come to me and they were on the brink of divorce. She knew she wanted it. He didn't quite get with the program on it, but she ultimately wanted to be understood. She wanted to not only understand herself, that's why she came to me originally for a reading, but ultimately wanted her partner to better understand her. And I saw in her chart, I said, you know what? We're not going to rush into anything. Let's give it some time. Maybe we need to understand his chart better. Would he be open to that? And so we ultimately created this wonderful date night experience where they came for a reading. And when I do date night experiences or any kind of compatibility reading, even in like mini sessions, is when I'm reading partner A's chart, I'm actually reading it to partner B. Partner A should know who they are. Partner B needs to understand partner A. And then when I'm reading partners B's chart, I'm reading it to partner A. And they can listen and hear the words and the language that I'm using to explain who they are to their partner. And even if it doesn't resonate, it at least gives them this platform, this springboard to connect and communicate with each other. Even if it's saying, hey, you know, she said this, but that's not true. This is actually how I feel. Great. It is opening up those channels of communication. But ultimately, with this couple, they were able to see the habits, the patterns, the energy exchange that was going on between them and why it was happening. That one person needed this specific energy based on their moon sign, what they need emotionally. And when they weren't getting it from partner B, they were being triggered. And when they were triggered, they were responding from their Mars sign, their warrior, their fighter, and they were lashing out in this way. And partner B was able to see that it wasn't personal. That's just how they lash out. They have a fiery Mars and they're going to yell and they're going to be hot-headed, but it's not personal. It's just who they are. And through our date night experience, they were able to not only understand each other individually, but able to understand why their energy was coming together this way and how they needed to make shifts in their own energy and how they were showing up to have more harmony, to blend it better. Not only do I love doing these date night experiences, but I've been getting a lot of parent-children readings recently. And this is really interesting and really exciting. And I didn't anticipate this, but I am so here for it, is that we're getting a lot of parents, specifically, they're wanting to relate to their adult children. And I'm sure if you're on social media or if you're in my generation around 30s, there's a lot of people in our generation that are, you know, quote unquote, disowning their parents or not relating to their parents as well. And this was one of those parents who came to me and said, I haven't spoken to my child in years. I want to understand them better. I want to relate to them better. Can we do a reading for them? And of course, ethically in astrology, I always say, can you get permission? You know, and if it's a parent, you know, we have the conversation around, you're not here to like, you know, misuse their chart and their information, but we're going to go into this open-minded and understanding who they are. And so we were able to break down why they're showing up a certain way as a parent, but it's not how their child needs them to parent them. And also see the journey that their child is on, you know, in their adult years and their 30s or 40s, and what they actually need to focus their energy and attention on. Sometimes it's not the parent. Sometimes it's their children or their career or other areas of their life. And so these have been amazing, amazing episodes to help people relate to their children better, even their adult children. And then lastly, an interesting dynamic I've been getting a lot recently is a lot of employers or business owners or entrepreneurs, and specifically around when to launch their business. And as they're hiring people, what will benefit the business and who they relate to, who they should be collaborating with or partnering with in their business. And I have one specific girl, I've been working with her for years, and she's launched many businesses in my journey as an astrologer. And we've created special time frames for her to have her grand opening. And we've also done lots of readings between her and some of her employees and also her business partner so they can build on each other's strengths and understand each other's weaknesses. And it's been such a beautiful journey to be a part of. So if that's you, you know who you are. I love you so much in our journey together. Almost every reading, the question of relationships come up. So I'm just so grateful to be in this position and to have this skill and to have these intuitive abilities and to show up here and to do this podcast with you. And then, of course, like I mentioned, 2 years ago, I formulated the astrology tea collection with all 12 of the zodiac signs with an herbalist. That was such a passion back in 2020 when I was going through my dark night of the soul. I had this vision, this dream of how much I love tea. I've never had a cup of coffee in my entire life, and I'm almost 40. I love tea. I love herbs. and I love astrology. And if I could blend the two and create an astrology tea collection, it would be a dream come true. But I didn't know how to do it, and I left it on the back burner. And come 2023, I met an herbalist who knew nothing about astrology, but she's a master blender, a master herbalist. And I asked her if I could explain what the energy would feel like for each zodiac sign. So if you were an Aries, you'd feel bold and confident and intense and hot and fierce. Could you put some teas together that when I drink it, I would feel that way? And she's like, yeah, totally. So we created the Aries blend, which was like chai and spicy and fiery and kicks up your chi when you drink it. And then I said, okay, can you also add in one specific herb for each of the body parts that each zodiac sign rules? So Aries rules the blood, and we added in yarrow, which helps support the blood. So ultimately, when you drink each astrological tea during each sun season, you'll be aligning with the sun energy. And throughout all 12 months, all 12 zodiac seasons in an astrological year, you would support all 12 areas of the body. So that was amazing. It came together even more beautifully than I envisioned back in 2020. We also added in the aroma of the teas to make sure it embodied, what that energy was like. The way the tea looks, whether it's in the bag or whether it's brewed, is going to also mimic the energy. For example, Sagittarius is blue with butterfly pea flower because Sagittarius is exciting and adventurous and, wants to explore. And so the tea kind of gives you that sense of excitement and adventure when it's blue in the cup. So that has been my recent passion project. And now my recent passion project is this astrology podcast. So I hope you enjoy my lighthearted, fun, relatable approach to astrology. I hope it leaves you feeling empowered and excited and motivated to learn more. I hope each episode gives you some practical, tangible tools that you can take with you right away and implement into your life, into your connections. And just know that I call you part of my Astro family, because I truly believe that we are all interconnected through the stardust that we breathe in our souls. And I'm just grateful to have you on this journey here with me, that you've come into my orbit. Thank you for joining me on this kickoff episode. If you're liking what you hear, you're liking this topic, you think you're into it, make sure you tune back into all the upcoming episodes, hit subscribe. I'm in process of recording some of those episodes I mentioned earlier. And if you have a specific topic that you are curious about when it comes to relationships and astrology, never hesitate to reach out and suggest it to me. And like I mentioned earlier, if you have anyone in your life or you know of anyone that would be an amazing guest that would fit the vibe of this show, play matchmaker, reach out or send them my way. And something else that I wanted to do for our episodes is together decide what the upcoming episode for the week is going to be. So how that's going to work is join me over on Instagram or TikTok, The Relational Astrologer, on all platforms. And on Sundays, I'm going to put up a poll of 3 different episode suggestions, and you're going to vote on which episode you want to see pop up on Friday. And then we will launch that episode for you. So you're going to be a part of this show, a part of this journey, deciding what you want to learn week by week. And the last thing in each episode, we are going to end up with a segment that I call What's in Our Orbit. And it's going to be all the things that are going on in our astro community that you can reach out and grab if you so choose. So right now, What's in Our Orbit, first and foremost, is we are going to do a contest here for our kickoff, and this will be ongoing for a little while, is that if you find value in this and you want to share it to people out in the world, you want to attract them into our Astro family and help them also have better relationships in their life, because we know there's a lot of people out there struggling in their relationships. I am going to gift you a PDF that is going to break down all the houses in your chart and how it shows up in your relationships. And how you're going to get that PDF is you are going to screenshot a review that you're going to leave on this podcast, or screenshot a post that you share on your social media, shouting out the podcast, sharing an episode, letting people know that we're here and we're hanging out. So you're just going to screenshot it and you're going to send it to therelationalastrologer@gmail.com. And Each person that sends in a screenshot is going to be entered to win a 30-minute free reading with me. And each month, on the first of the month, I'm going to announce the winner of that free 30-minute reading. So every single month, you can enter as many times as you want. You can leave a review, then you can screenshot and share out as many times as you want. And because it's 11/11 and it's my favorite day of the year, and we're taking this party to the moon, we are going to kick it up a notch. And the first 11 people that leave a review, screenshot it, send it over to me at therelationalastrologer@gmail.com. You're not only going to be entered to win the free 30-minute reading, not only are you going to get the PDF, you're also going to get a discount code if you order any of the astrological teas or the astrology journal. And you can send me one question where I will send you a voice memo answering your question. And it can be on any topic related to relational astrology, whether it's about your birth chart, the birth chart of someone in your life, an astrological transit, a timing question, a compatibility question. Any question you have, I will voice memo you on Telegram the answer to that question for the first 11 people to leave a review. So hopefully you're one of the first listeners and you get to jump into that contest. And lastly, just remember, if you do want to get a 2025 Astro Forecast reading, time is running out. You're going to want to get on my calendar because I'm only doing readings till the 20th of December. And then I won't be available for readings again until January 20th. And last but not least, if you want to get your hands on my soul on paper, the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, you can get the physical copy or you can download the PDF copy, have it right on your computer immediately and print it out on your own. You can find all of that in the description box below. So thank you so much. I hope to continue the party with you over on social media, whether it's TikTok or Instagram. And until we catch each other in the next episode, may the stars guide you on your path. Cheers. Thank you so much for tuning in today and spending some of your magical minutes on Earth with me. Find me on Instagram or TikTok at The Relational Astrologer, where we connect daily and vote on future episode topics. If today's episode offered new insights, make sure you subscribe. And if you're finding value here, consider leaving a review. It helps others seeking harmony in their relationship find us too. And don't forget, as my thank you for helping me spread this mission, every review or share of an episode enters you into our monthly giveaway for a free 30-minute reading with me. To participate, just leave a review or share an episode to your social media, take a screenshot, and email it to me at therelationalastrologer@gmail.com. Every reviewer will receive a free PDF relationship astrology guide, and one lucky winner each month will receive a 30-minute personal astrology session. I'll announce the winner on Instagram on the first of every month, so stay tuned and enter as many times as you desire. Thank you so much for being a part of my Astro family. I'm so grateful you came into my orbit.